Well, let's get to the what was set up here by this whole chain whipping incident. It's going to be the main event of the podcast here. Dick Slater is going to sign a contract for Buzz Sawyer to defend the UWF TV title, but he doesn't read the contract well enough, and Watts changes it to Sawyer instead defending Slater's North American title against none other than Hacksaw. Let's
What
drop in
great
on this.
TV, Mid-South was great TV. That was great wrestling television.
It certainly was. And man, the reaction that you get in this one is absolutely off the chain. Let's have a look.
Sawyer attacking those ribs, attacking the part that he injured last week. Buck's breaking loose right here. Duggan with those severely injured ribs. Sawyer's trying to take advantage of it. This crowd so solidly behind that man. Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Jim Ross doing a good job.
Man, it's pretty cool to have him calling this moment for you.
Looks as if Sawyer might have bloodied Duggan's nose with this.
That might have been a hard way.
Or something. Rather
he's working on those ribs. He's battered them. The steel railing, and he's hammering them. I don't know how much longer Duggan can go. Those ribs are heavily bandaged. And Sawyer's relentless, but Duggan's fighting back.
Let's not crowd come to life for
That's
you.
the way to get cut off. That's wrestling, man. Make the comeback, cut the guy off.
Painful. It could be incapacitating. If there's one man that's tough enough to handle it, it's Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Unbelievable.
That move right there, I guarantee
He's a good worker, Buzz. You gotta admit
Yeah,
that.
no, I'm not. Yeah, Buzz was very good. He was a bulldog type of guy. He was a good tough guy. He would have been a handful if we ever win.
Going up to the top rope. Keep in mind, a disqualification could save the title for Buzz Sawyer. Sawyer on the top rope. He goes for it, but Duggan gets out of the way. Duggan. The spear! He got him!
Ooh, yeah, he used to dive on that 3-point stand.
Hacksaw Duggan, the new champion. Hacksaw Duggan's won the title. The crowd loves it at the Myriad. We've got a new champion. Listen to him.
How about that, Jim?
I wonder where Shawn Michaels got that stomping from.
Holy smokes. I never put that together.
Oh, yeah, I used to stomp all the time. That was a big deal. Hold on to the ropes. You know, I got that from Brody, actually. So, like, you know, everybody says, well, I hate to steal your move. I'm like, well, everything's been done before. I mean, you're not good. You know, like, don't do the DDT. I'm like, well, don't punch nobody. That's my move.
Yeah, I mean the DDT nowadays, that's a transition move. Same thing with Sean Superkick, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's Circus Soleil.
You've been live for, while we're talking about modern wrestling, you've been live there to see a lot of modern wrestling and all the kind of jumping over the top rope, kind of action that you see nowadays. When you see that sort of thing, Jim, I mean, what do you think?
Actually, at Mark, I watch really very, very, very little wrestling. Watch no wrestling at all. You know, I joke after 40 years, the last thing I want to watch when I'm home is wrestling. And I don't know any of the kids anymore. Jericho is one of the last guys I know, and of course, I'm going to do the Jericho cruise again this year. Looking forward to that in January. But mostly, I mean, I saw Mark Henry recently. He's an old timer now, so it's a whole different group of guys. But I tell you, as I said before, I think the kids nowadays are much better athletes than we were. I mean, the stuff that they do, they're just great athletes. But I think our generation of guys were much more creative. We came up with our own stuff. We are our own characters. And, but it's hard to argue with success. People say, well, I like the old stuff. Well, there was, 200,000 people at WrestleMania. Somebody's watching the show.
They're doing something right if they're drawing that many.
Yeah, and then the AEW, that's great because it gives a lot of guys a second place to work. Another place to negotiate with. Good for the boys.
Yep, competition is great for wrestlers. So yeah, I'm happy to say the more wrestling, the better, as far as I'm concerned. And Jim, I mean, speaking of big opportunities here, you got a big one here with the North American Heavyweight title. I mean, that's That is the title in Mid-South, and this is your first time winning it. I know that belts were never really like it's like another thing you gotta carry. But I mean, it's got to be great to get that kind of honor, right?
Oh yeah, but how about that belt too? It was,
It was huge.
it was the biggest belt in the world, man. And and Magnum wore it in the shower.
He did. I was gonna say what?
Oh, the guy, you love me, honey? I got the belt on. But that's a whole other story. Yeah, no, it was great to get the belt. Sure was. Even though, like you said, I'm not a big belt guy. That's probably because I didn't get a lot of them. But that North American one, yeah, it sure was, because that's why it was such a big deal to leave Mid-South. I had a good guarantee. I lived in a nice little home. The fans, they really enjoyed the Hacksaw character. To go up to New York, to jump out of that little convenient, comfortable pond that I was in, to jump into the big New York, whether you make it there, you make it anywhere, to make that jump up to New York. That was a big decision, and there was a little pucker factor going on there too,
I can't imagine, man. I mean, yeah, like you said, this has been essentially the bulk of your career in Mid-South. So, I mean, when you're going to take off for New York the next year, it's got to be very, very uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I called Vince. I don't know. A lot of people say, "Oh, Vince called me." Guys, I called. I'll tell. Hey, I called Vince. Vince said, "Give your notice to Bill Watts, work your period out, and then come on up," which I did.
Well, it's crazy the amount of success that you'd have here in Mid-South. And I mean the North American title, I know that Ted I think that Ted has actually got a replica copy of that North American title, which tells you
He's probably still wearing it
in the shower.
Or some other places. Not Ted though. Holy smokes.
I mean, it is a really, really highly regarded title. And as a matter of fact, you are going to be the last guy to ever hold that championship belt, because it's going to be dropped in favor of the UWF Heavyweight Championship, which they're going to do a tournament for. So did you know that? You're the last ever North American
I did not know that.
champion.
Wow, man. So I probably the only undefeated UWF champion in the history of the Shig company. And I think I'm also the only undefeated WCW television champion.
How about that?
Yeah, that's pretty weird, isn't it? That both they retired both belts after I got them.
That is actually a really wild stat. I didn't think about the TV title as well. Now, I know that you ended up taking the TV title home. Any chance you took home the North American title?
No, but I'm like DiBiase. I do have a replica. Put it on, honey. She wears it though.
That's awesome. Do you have replicas of any other belts?
Oh yeah, I got that. What is it? I've got quite a few folks have given me over the years. I got that U.S. Heavyweight title. I think that's the one I beat Stunning Steve Austin so bad he had to shave his head and change his name. I beat the hair right off the boy's head. I should get a kickback on this Stone Cold.
I'll tell you what, any kind of a percentage of
no, there's a joke there, but